Hi, welcome to Off Season 2025. In this video, we're going to start a new series. Really, it's the player review series, but we're going to do it a little bit different this year. These reviews will take the form of a bit of a guess as to what the exit interviews would have been like for some of these players. We're going to look at a number of players. We're going to look at what worked, what didn't work. We're going to look at their situation. We're also entering trade period in the next month or so. So we've got a lot to get through. We're going to start today with Jack Silvagni. And the question is, what was said or what happened in Jack Silvagni's exit interview? This is obviously... Is this an emotional conversation? No, I don't think it needs to be an emotional conversation. As supporters, we live in the fantasy of footy and the fairy tale of footy and the romance of footy, because we are the fans. We watch from this side of the fence. The ones that are actually out there on the field do this for a job. And so there is a reality to that as well, which I don't know if the fans will ever... I don't think we'll ever be able to truly understand what that's like. We can guess, we can empathize as best as we can. But for a guy like Jack Silvagni, there's obviously a bit more gravity to the situation given the family history and the like. So let's break it down. Jack Silvagni played 13 games this year. And it must be reminded, he played 13 games coming off an ACL. So he missed all of 2024 after rupturing his ACL. 27 years of age, he'll be 28 at the end of the year and going into next season, should he stay. He's played 128 games from the Carlton Football Club. He was drafted at pick 53 in the 2015 draft. Now, where we are with Jack Silvagni is a really interesting point. So we went into the season unsure what's going to happen. And this is generally due to the fact that for Jack's career up until this point, he hadn't really locked down a spot with full confidence and full consistency. He's always been a guy that'll play anywhere, do anything that the team asks of him. He competes at a really high level. He's got the footy IQ. He's got it all there. But for whatever reason over the years, he's just, sometimes it's just been injury. He seems to have gotten himself into form and then injury will strike him down, whatever it might be, a shoulder, a rib, an ACL, whatever it is. Before his latest major injury, which was the ACL, he was a forward, which worked at times. Also, the team was doing very poorly and he was still quite young. I think we eventually found a role for him in the ruck as a backup ruck. And that seemed to work quite well at times in 2023. Obviously, he misses all of last year. Going into this year, I don't know if many of us were aware that he would be going down back, but he did. And it finally looked like he had found a spot that just worked so well. So much so to the point that he played so well this year as a defender that it had a lot of us thinking, wow, why didn't we do this from day one? Obviously, it's in the genes. His dad was one of the greatest fullbacks of all time, etc. So the reality is he plays 13 games. He averages just a tick under 14 possessions. But I think with Jack, what he was able to do really quickly this year, which this is what worked, his ability to work alongside Jacob Wiedering, the trust and cooperation that they show. They almost had this subconscious understanding of each other, which can be really hard to get on any line on the field, but particularly in the back line. There's a lot of pressure that comes all over the field, but in the back line, you're one mistake away from getting scored against. You can make a mistake in the forward line and then somewhere else down the field they can sort of protect you. But in the back line, if you make a mistake, you're likely to be scored against, particularly against the best teams in the comp. So that was a real big positive. There was a question mark going into the year. What do we do about the key position depth? And I think we had the question answered. Now, what didn't work in the end is that he played 13 games and got hurt again. The contract situation then comes up. He had reportedly not been offered a deal. Then he had reportedly been offered a deal for quite some time. Graham Wright confirmed this in his first speech as the Carlton CEO. We've now gotten to this standstill. So I'm filming this Monday morning, 25th of August 2025. And the situation that we have at hand today, right now, is that Jack has not committed to the Carlton Football Club for next year. He has explored his options as his right to do as a free agent going into 2026 and beyond. We've seen a few angles to this. I've done videos on this. We've seen one of his best mates and former captains or co-captains in Sam Doherty, just be real about the conversation. You're 28 years old, just had a child. You've got to do what's best for your family. You've got to get that security. We've had Graham Wright, as I said, say that there's been an offer put in front of him. And so, us on this side of the fence, we can have any opinion that we want around what Jack Silvagni should or shouldn't do. Jack should do what's best for Jack and what's best for Jack's family. That's always the case. But I think the reality is, just from a footballing point of view, if you're Carlton, can you offer, what's the offer? That's the unknown. Now, there are reports that it is a 3 or 4 year deal on X amount per year. I've heard, I've read as little as 500 and as max as 700 per year. So somewhere there, I don't know where you sit on this conversation. I think it depends on what your subconscious bias is. All right, so there's that. Then there's the other end of the bargain where he would be very valuable at a number of clubs. So we know that he's met at Collingwood, who clearly are in the market for another defender, and a guy that, with Jack Silvagni's attributes, competed at a high level, used the ball by foot at a pretty high level, can kick on both sides of his body. So there's that. Collingwood's one. He has also reportedly met with the Essendon Football Club, and recently it's been reported that he has met with or has spoken to the Western Bulldogs. Now, I was at the Western Bulldogs final game, and they played against the Dockers, and it was a do or die clash. And I'm sitting there and I'm watching Jed Buslinger play. No offense to him, but if I'm the Western Bulldogs, I'm thinking, wow, imagine that was Jack Silvagni there. So he's got his options, and this is why free agency was brought in. It gave the players more freedom and more options, and so he is within his rights to do that. So from the club's point of view, can you really offer 3-4 years at top dollar when you've got impending and incoming young key position players that you want to get games into? Now, I would guess 2026, you can really offer Jack playing time for sure. Even into 2027, just to be safe. It's the 2028, 2029 that I'm not too sure. So from the club's point of view, club first, you're thinking about it like that. If you're Jack, you're thinking, okay, well, I want to play, I want stability. I mean, I don't know. Again, this is all guesswork, but reading between the lines, wanting stability and setting up, your family now, can Carlton offer what Jack needs and what Jack's family need? That's the question. And if another club can, then should he take that deal? So for 2025, I was really excited because I felt like we finally found a position for Jack with confidence. The second ruck role was okay at times, but ultimately he was an undersized ruck that was never going to be able to be relied on, for 20 plus games. But the key position defender version of Jack Silvagni, I thought we can rely on that. I would obviously like him to stay, as a personal opinion, just because I think of the attributes that he brings to the team, and we can win games with Jack Silvagni in the team and healthy. Can we rely on Jack Silvagni to play 20 plus games? I don't think we can. He has done it twice in his career. He played 20 games in 2017, which was his second season in the system. And he also played 21 games in 2022. So it's the reliability question. The body is banged up at this point. He's had a lot of injuries, a lot of serious injuries. And so he's battered and bruised. And yeah, this one's one which wouldn't be too hard if you took out the emotion out of it. And so I don't want this to become what Jack should and shouldn't do because I'm a fan and I deserve flags. This is just the reality of the situation. If I had to grade his season, it's really tricky because he only played 13 games, but of those games that he played, thought he played at a really high level. It's tricky. I'd have him in the best version of the team for sure. If we were healthy, if everyone was fit and healthy, I would have him in the best version of this team. And for that reason, I think we would miss him if he left. Having said that, do you just take the opportunity now to wish him all the best and not get too squeezed with salary. We're going to lose a few players as it stands already. We think Tom de Koning will go. We know that Sam Doherty's gone. I don't really have full clarity on what the direction of the club is moving forward in the next 2 to 3 years. It's all a little bit unknown at this point. And so, yeah. What do you think? Now that we've had the initial reports of Jack meeting with other clubs come and go, I think maybe the emotion of that has subsided a little bit. But you have to ask the question, what does his exit interview look like and sound like? What do you think are the conversations from the club's point of view, from Jack's point of view, and what's your guess as to where this ends up? I'm interested to get your take on this. We'll chat to you in the comments. We'll go from there.